Well, welcome to Manchester United video. I hope you share with me some of the great moments of the season. And what I've done is I've picked up several games over the season which I think, and I'm sure you will agree, they were absolutely enthralling, exciting, entertaining matches. Full of action, drama, controversy. So sit back and enjoy them with me. I know you will.
Floats one in, and Gritty stays on his line, and Cantona punishing him.
Lined up on the edge of the area for Johnson's cross. Ball for Cantona! Oh, stupendous stop!
The problem with some of the English grounds at the moment, you're going to some of them, and Coventry was like that, but one end's down, you know, and it creates a sort of a funny atmosphere. But we got the result, and as you say, when you're going for a championship, 1-0s away from home sometimes are vital, are important.
So, Manchester United to kick off. They're on an extremely good run at the moment. 7 straight wins if they can beat Coventry today. On the Sky Blues' recent performances, there's nothing to suggest that the apple cart is going to be upset. As always, whenever Manchester United are on their travels, the home side has an all-ticket affair and a massive crowd inside Highfield Road today, as the footballing circus, if you like, comes to town. Eric Cantona, centre stage, taking that free kick a little bit too quickly for the liking of referee Stephen Lodge. And as always, it's the Manchester United fans from Manchester and of course from the Midlands as well, who are out singing the locals. As Ince plays the ball through, run for Darren Ferguson, making his first league start of the season, but Steve Grizovic off his line very quickly. Quinn giving chase and demanding the midfield push on. Quinn, who started the season in fine goal-scoring fashion. That's Wegley. Now Rennie. Quicker to the ball though was Gary Pallister. United just pinning Coventry back. That started out as a promising move, but goes back to the goalkeeper. And Quinn in the thick of the action early on. Not a referee's favourite. And not winning any favours there from Mr. Lodge. Tentative start from United here. Steve Russ brings the ball forward. Ferguson. Ryan Giggs starting the game on the right, a little partnership with Paul Parker, but not a particularly good cross from Parker. And neither goalkeeper tested as yet. Peter Schmeichel, he could be a danger to United this afternoon, a highly rated player who burst onto the scene last season, of course. Zimbabwean international teammate of Liverpool's Bruce Grobbelaar. Then taken by Morgan, and he gets it back. Oh, showing Ryan Giggs a trick or two. It's a dangerous thing. He comes away with the ball again. This is Morgan, one of the younger players on the Coventry staff. The 0-0 draw against Ipswich in the last game has stopped quite a good scoring sequence for United. 3 goals against Wimbledon, 3 against Manchester City, 5 not so long ago against Leicester in the Coca-Cola Cup. A big game in midweek against Everton coming up as well in the Old League Cup. Gary Pallister brings the ball forward. First chance of a run for Lee Sharp, and he immediately has 2 defenders closing him down. came off the foot of Peter Atherton, the former Wigan fullback. And the first corner of the game to Manchester United. Sharp will just delay things as Pallister and Bruce get up there, but not a particularly well taken corner. Now this is Irwin. Sharp again. Oh, great skills from the England winger. Not a bad cross at all either. Cantona goes flying in. Morgan clears. Little flick from Ferguson, and the first shot of the game from Lee Sharp, who's single-handedly started that move and more than made up for a bad corner. This wasn't a bad shot at all on the volley. Didn't have much time to set himself and hit it in Cantona fashion, but Grizovic was equal to it. Now United seem to be quickening up the pace. Parker. Morgan's been at the heart of everything for Coventry. Beaten on this occasion by Ferguson, though. Support coming from midfield. Ince. To Irwin. Lee Sharp onto the gain. He's really buzzing in this game. Eric Cantona. What can he orchestrate here? Ferguson. Back to Cantona. Looking for somebody to give him a bright run, but that ball's cut out by Wegley. Rides the tackle well. Paul Ince, who's involved in that attack, has tracked 90 yards to stop Wegley. Good defending. Now Morgan thinks about the shot. Little chip over the top. And Paul Ince there again. Julian Darby couldn't get the shot in, but great defending from Paul Ince. Must be huffing and puffing now after chasing back to thwart that attack. United have 10 red shirts back now. Parker clears the ball, only as far as Morgan, who's a little off balance, and still Coventry can't trouble Peter Schmeichel. Cantona causes a few problems in the X. A little bit more at home on the ground. Giggs to Sharp. Hughes coming in at the far post, but the height of the Coventry keeper, Grizovic, proved more decisive there. And sets Undlov on the attack. Loves to carry the ball. Skillful player. Passes on to Wegley, another ball player. Quinn. Well, not the ideal pass, but Coventry keep the momentum flowing. Julian Darby. I don't think Peter Schmeichel's touched the ball with his hands yet. Quinn to Wegley again, taking on Paul Parker. Two former Queen's Park Rangers players. Wegley beats him. Great save by Schmeichel. Thwarting Quinn. And a few angry exchanges in the United defence there. You can't take it away from Roy Wegley. Beautiful skills. Not too many people send Paul Parker like that. Did well to keep the ball in play. And a good block by the great Dane Schmeichel. Hughes makes that look so easy. Time and space, but very difficult ball to control. Sets Irwin away. Sharp. Paul Ince misread that pass. Scurries back to retrieve it. Now Dennis Irwin, I'm sure he's thinking about having a shot from this kind of angle. Puts in the cross, and easy for the goalkeeper to deal with, but Cantona and Hughes are waiting should there have been a mistake in there. Hasn't been one of the best United performances as yet, but plenty of promise, plenty of fine approach play. Pallister. Hughes to Ince. Good run from midfield by Ferguson. Looked a little bit like Brian Robson, the way he broke from the pack then. It's controlled by Pallister now, that's a rarity. Quinn to Wegley, seems to be everywhere, playing a Cantona-like role for Coventry. Good cross, or was it a shot? Schmeichel had it covered all of the way. And the first time he's had to use his hands in this game. He's certainly using his mouth as well. Not too happy with his defence. Rennie lets that one go. Should be the goalkeeper's ball. United have Coventry to play on the last day of the season, and they're hoping the championship will be sewn up long before then. This, of course, is classed as one of the run-of-the-mill games in the Premiership season. These are the games you have to win. Can't even afford a draw at places like Coventry. A difficult team to beat though. Maybe Hughes can provide some inspiration. Good control, and the shot always going away. That's the danger of the Welshman. Look at this control and turn. It's textbook stuff, ideal for any kid watching. One touch to control, one touch to steady himself, and the shot, well, just curving the wrong way. Wegley, oh, cheeky back heel. Bruce quickly onto it. I don't know how much Cantona meant that back heel, but it's United onto an attack. A pass over hit, but again it was Ferguson breaking out of midfield. The travelling United fans in good voice. Morgan, solidly built player. Teeing it up for Quinn up there, who'll keep battling all day. Now he's onto it. But Gary Pallister, oh, he slipped! Great save by Schmeichel. Well, his body had gone to his left, the ball had gone to his right, and he put out his size 10s to produce a quite astonishing save from Mickey Quinn. Gary Pallister was beaten for pace, that's a rarity. Quinn bustling him off the ball and almost catching Schmeichel out, but that's why they call the man world class. Ryan Giggs hasn't seen much of the ball on the right hand side, cuts inside. Oof, and tests the goalkeeper. I'm not sure if Grizovic had that one covered, had it crept inside the post. Ince goes flying in, loves those little tussles in midfield, never shirks out of a challenge. Chances then for both teams. Schmeichel has been, the goalkeeper's been called upon to produce acrobats, but Grizovic's had a few flying dives and seeing the ball go shortly wide of the post a couple of times. Now Mickey Quinn, one of the game's great characters, plays it wide. Wegley has been on the right wing, now he's on the left wing. And Steve Bruce doesn't fall for any of his little tricks and goes in with a sure-footed 2-foot challenge. Coventry take it quickly. Undlow flicks it over the top. Pallister, Quinn. Oh, and the shot coming in, and Schmeichel berating his defenders there. It was Quinn and Flynn who were involved in that. Quinn heading it down, and Flynn with a flying volley. So can United produce a goal in the second half? They need to test the goalkeeper. Cantona up there. Now Irwin, can he let one fly? He does, and Grizovic makes his first save of the game. He saw it very, very late. Cantona providing the problems in the air. Not a good clearance, and it fell perfectly onto the preferred right foot of Dennis Irwin. And it took a nasty bounce just in front of the Coventry keeper, who did extremely well to keep it out. Rennie hasn't got anybody up. Everybody for Coventry is back in defence. Schmeichel, careful left foot, and not a particularly good clearance from him though. And I think they were trying to catch Schmeichel off his line then, but no chance of that. He'd got back pretty quickly. And he's just slowing play down, taking the sting out of the situation. The draw here wouldn't be a disaster for United, but I'm sure Alex Ferguson would treat it that way after such a good run. Ferguson to Ince. Good touch from Cantona to Ferguson again. He's going alone. And did the goalkeeper get a touch to that? He didn't, but Ferguson, with one of those surging runs, is possibly winning himself a place in the first team. It's been a good performance from the manager's son. striker. There's only one way, and that's back. Quinn won't stop chasing. It'll be a collision if Schmeichel and Quinn went into each other. Combined weight of something like 28 stone would be colliding. Coventry, they've had a quiet start to the second half. Sean Flynn, who had that flying volley in the first half. Back it goes, Rennie. Wegley. Nice football from Coventry, but they're not really taking it any further than the halfway line. Ball comes in, Undlove, oh, curling in. Schmeichel got a fingertip to it, passing it onto the post. Well, that's the danger of Peter Undlove, who's rated in the £2 million bracket, and interesting a number of the top clubs. And the corner kick is to be taken quickly. Wegley to take it. Schmeichel stays on his line. Pallister controls the area. Shot from Julian Darby, the former Bolton player. Slip in there, this could be dangerous. Flynn was going nowhere. Now Wegley puts in a cross, and not a particularly good cross, but again a let off for United. They can't afford to slip up. This was the move, and look at that for cheek. I'm not that sure that Schmeichel did get a hand to it. Hit the outside of the post. Hughes, so aware of what's going on around him. Lesser strikers would have flicked that on, but he finds Ince with the pass. Now Ince trying to find another red shirt with the pass. He does, in the shape of Irwin. To Giggs, now playing on the left wing. Takes on two defenders. Not a required cross, but well, it doesn't even get a corner kick. Comes off the corner flag. Giggs back again to Irwin. Floats one in. Aggressive, stays on his line, and Cantona punishes him. It only takes one chance, and Eric Cantona floats in from nowhere. But credit must go to Dennis Irwin, who provided the cross. It all came with a little bit of good fortune as Ryan Giggs kept the ball in via the corner flag. Look at this though, for a cross from Dennis Irwin. Looked up, saw Cantona coming through a ruck of defenders. They couldn't keep a hold of the Frenchman, and he puts United ahead with an hour gone. Famous foreigner in British football has been celebrated on the terraces by the United fans, but Mickey Quinn, a Scouser, almost put one over the team he used to hate, or I don't know, hate's probably too strong a word, but dislike as a boy. Former Evertonian, going too far over with that header. Giggs. Cantona. Ferguson does well, and United will want to retain possession for as long as possible. Giggs couldn't reach that. Away it goes from Atherton. And Coventry seem to have lost a little bit of their shape and a great deal of their confidence since Cantona scored that goal. Long ball looking for Undlove, the one player with any real pace on the Coventry team. Takes on Parker again, looks for the shot. Oh, how did Quinn miss that? Well, for once his reflexes weren't working, and he diverted it towards the goal. Peter Schmeichel had already committed himself to the near post. As Schmeichel gleefully hangs on to that ball as Quinn contemplates what could have been. And a real let-off for United. Can they punish Coventry even further with a second goal? Ryan Giggs. Again the goalkeeper comes and then stays, and almost a carbon copy of the United goal. This time Mark Hughes kicking on the end of an excellent left wing cross from Ryan Giggs. They say it's not his strength crossing the ball. That couldn't have been more perfect for Mark Hughes, only a yard away from a second. Pallister. Time running out for Coventry City. Darren Ferguson, what a good game he's had. To Irwin. Ferguson again. Giggs plays it to Ferguson, doesn't get the cross in, but wins the throw in despite the protests from the Coventry defenders that it should have gone their way. Throw in taken quickly. Gary Pallister's joining the attack, and oh, not a bad shot from the United central defender. Got off the mark last week against Wimbledon. He's trying to get on the score sheet on a regular basis. Joins the attack for this one, but Ince off balance with that volley. There's the Pallister chance again. Or maybe he's trying to start a scoring spree. Cantona and Ince could have done better with shots like that. Now, can Coventry grab a late equaliser? United with virtually everybody back. Little flick on, chance for Marston! Oh dear me, how did he miss that? Schmeichel was beaten, and a saving tackle coming in from Ryan Giggs. The danger's still not overturned. Shot safe from Schmeichel, but the offside flag was already up. This was the chance seconds before. Marston, the substitute, sneaked in, and I think that was a touch from Schmeichel which saved the day. Cantona is the cry from the fans, and Eric Cantona turns out to be the only man to score a goal in this game. 7 straight league wins for Manchester United. 14 points clear. They are at the top of the FA Carling Premiership. It finishes Coventry 0, Manchester United 1.
It was the last minute that I think it was a boy, Darby was it, he came storming through and his fingertipped it onto the bar. Yeah, I remember the very last kick of the ball. Actually, we lost possession. I think it was young Ryan that lost possession out in the wing or something, you know. Heart-raising moment, I would think. Brian leaving with young Nicky Butt breaking through, and he has to be given room to get through, and David Beckham and Simon Davis, some good young midfield players, and Gary Neville obviously that he appeared 2 or 3 times as a substitute in Europe last season, and young Colin McKee has great potential. It gives them for me to see how they reacted to the crowd, you see, and they didn't let me down, so we know they've got the temperament. And that's vital to our club. There's others who'll get their chance too.
So Brian Robson leads out Manchester United for the last time. This charismatic captain, the complete midfield player, the best professional, says Alec Ferguson, that he's ever worked with, a once-in-a-lifetime player, he called him earlier today. And still with one target he'd love to achieve on this, his 465th appearance for the club. Just 1 goal short of 100 for Manchester United. It would be a football fairy tale if he does score a goal this afternoon. You cannot overestimate his contribution to this famous football club. Stephen Lodge is ready. So the champions defend the goal to the right in the first half. In splendid sunshine, somehow summing up their achievements in the Premiership. Leon Dudley. Lee Sharp. Plenty of parties in this part of the world, and I think it's fair to say that some of the players have been partying as well.
Well, let's just say they'll have had 1 or 2 midweek, Martin. And quite deservedly so as well. I don't think anyone would have any complaints about that. What helps today is the injection of new blood, really. When I say new blood, the two young lads on the right side, Dion Dublin, who hasn't played much, McClare and Robson. All the people that Alex has brought in are all very keen to play and do well.
Pallister. And Love. Now Burrows. Julian Darby's got forward. Bolstered, of course, by his spectacular scoring success against Blackburn. They didn't really look for Darby. In the end, it was the 18-year-old Willie Boland who was coming in from the other side, as Darby had gone forward from the centre of midfield. Neville with this air of calm about his game again. Flynn, Bruce at his back. Morgan. Phil Babb is the player who stayed down. Eric Cantona showing some concern.
Yeah, it's chested down by Dion Dublin. Babb used his pace to get in there, and you see where Cantona catches him just on the side of the knee.
Burrows. Flynn. Burrows again. That's more Coventry trying to put their passing into practice. Atherton. Held up well by Flynn. Jenkinson and Darby were really looking for the same area to run into. And no harm done to Manchester United. Rennie, the anchoring midfield player. Boland calling for a bit more help. Pallister. Some room here for McClare. Key holding wide on the right, ahead of Gary Neville. He's got a younger brother, would you believe, who's just had an award today as the Youth Player of the Year for Manchester United. They're quite a family. Their father is involved in football on the commercial side at Bury. This is Flynn. And Love now with a chance to work Gary Walsh. But not serious work for the goalkeeper.
Well, the front two might cause Manchester United one or two problems today. If they'll stand off them and let them run at them and gather the ball and turn. I'd like to see an Love go and commit the centre back there, Pallister. Go at him, test him early on.
Pallister. Sharp in the centre. Atherton seeing that and dealing with it. Coventry, of course, have to buy players sometimes a tenth of what Manchester United can pay.
If they're lucky.
Yeah. And you look around at the likes of Morgan, £100,000 bracket, Derby, £150,000. That's the currency that Phil Neal and his predecessors had to deal in. But there's nothing between the sides in the context of this particular match so far. Flynn. Rennie. Derby spreading the play. Jenkinson gets in his cross. There's not a lot of height forward for Coventry, but Flynn able to bring the ball down. Dare I suggest that he probably wouldn't have had quite that much time and space if the match had greater meaning to Manchester United.
That's always a possibility. Always. They're very slack here. Gary Pallister doesn't really react as quick as he may have done. That's why I think there might be some joy for them today.
Well, climatically, it's not easy for the players. It must be the warmest afternoon of the season, but Owen has got away here. Cantona closing in. Good touch for Coventry by Babb. Really inviting cross. One of Owen's strengths. And Love. got Willie Boland outside him. Keeps it central with Rennie. Now Jenkinson, who's only recently got into the team again. Came from Hull City towards the end of last season. Flynn, Rennie. Coventry keeping the ball.
No real width for Martin. Everyone's in the centre of the field. They've got no outlet wide on either the left or right.
We have now with Morgan. And when he was there, they gave the ball away.
Good possession, but had nowhere to go for about 30 seconds.
Neville, who's appeared a couple of times before in the first team in European games as a substitute this season and last. Pallister. Here's Neville. Looking up with Cantona. Cantona, and still, when he might have gone down and got a free kick, concentrating certainly on the ball that time, and United try again with Bruce. Just when there was a little lethargy, it seemed, creeping into their play. Dublin now wins the header and shoots on the follow-up after Brian Robson had played his part in the Coventry penalty area.
Well, there's no surprise to see Robson getting in off a Dublin header. He's gambled all his life in those runs, and how profitable it's been to him.
Another assured touch from Gary Neville. They have great hopes for him here and for a number of other players of his generation. Colin McKee is just a year older from the year that won the FA Youth Cup 2 seasons ago. Cantona, oh, and it's McKee!
Well, he made a lovely run infield and dragged Steve Morgan with him, and that created a huge hole. Look at that run now, look at Morgan, he has to go with him. And that creates a huge hole for Cantona, and there's his vision, that's what he's all about. Picking out those runs.
Well, he can put it through the eye of a needle, and he did then. Pallister. When Alec Ferguson was considering who perhaps should be kept out of the firing line today, Gary Pallister's name was very low on the list. I think that's a compliment to what Pallister gives them in the back line. Dublin. Sharp takes it on. McKee again coming in from the right-hand side. Sharp almost going it alone, and then it came from Neville, who claimed a handball. It was a mishit shot. Sharp could have actually fed him in a better position for Neville to have a crack at goal, but was looking a bit for the glory himself.
It was opened up a bit now, but Sharp had no intention of using him. He decided to go on his own, and when it dropped for the kid, I thought, go on, hit it as well, and he rather choked the shot into the ground.
Handball by Bruce, not intentionally. Not a difficult match for Stephen Lodge, the referee, to control at the moment. He just had to look closely at that early tackle by Cantona and Babb. Here's Brian McClare. And Derby, as all good midfield players do, prepared to run towards his own goal as well as into the area where you get the headlines on the attacking side of the game. Robson waits on the edge of the area. Irwin, his name being chanted. Robson's sharp crosses. McKee. Cantona had been keeping a watch from a deeper position. McKee crosses and took out Grizovic that time, but there was no really far post for Manchester United.
That's a better cross. About the first one they've put in this afternoon that players can actually go after. Most of them have dropped into the arms of Steve Grizovic, but there's a space there. There's a space to put it in behind the back four. He does that, but no one can catch it up quick enough.
McKee. Robson's challenge. McKee again. In the end, Brian Leclerc losing out. Neville. Leclerc is well offside. He was doing his best to get back without interfering with play. Irwin. Robson. United lined up on the edge of the area for Robson's cross. Will it fall for Cantona? Oh, stupendous stop! To stop what would have arguably been the goal of the entire campaign.
Well, why is there a goalkeeper saving this? Wouldn't that have been a fitting finale for the Players' Footballer of the Year? Look how quickly he adjusts his body shape. Hits it perfectly, and I tell you, Big Augie hasn't produced many better saves than that.
Pallister pushing.
Wonderful save. If he hadn't been 6'4" or 5, then you're right, that's a wonder goal. We can still admire the execution in the shot. Look at him, eye on the ball. Never loses it, hits it perfectly. You and I are sitting up here thinking that's in. But look at Augie, he's got other ideas. That's a wonderful save.
Cantona, who hasn't been charging around the pitch, but every now and then has introduced a classic moment. He is the champion amongst championship winners, of course. Marseille 91, Leeds 92, and now 2 titles in a row with Manchester United.
Incredible.
Rennie. Jenkinson. This is Boland trying to get it back to Jenkinson again. And Gary Neville feels a bit hard done by here. Coventry have been given a corner.
I think Boland should have gone at them. Look at him going at Steve Bruce on the edge of the box. He opted for the pass wide, which was never really on, because Neville's very quick.
Rennie.
Well, just look at the kind of space that David Rennie has here for this header. I think in a normal match day, Martin, I don't think he'd find himself in that much space.
Well, there are some generous thoughts in these parts for Coventry City after what happened last Monday, but it shouldn't extend to too many presents out on the pitch. Coventry must have looked at their end-of-season fixtures with some alarm. Home to Blackburn, away to Manchester United. And then that rearranged match against Chelsea, which they also won on Wednesday night. They caught Chelsea slightly less committed than Sheffield United did yesterday. And Ben Hoddle seemed to have put out his cup final team and said to the players, go and prove to me you should play at Wembley. I could say it's the luck of the draw, but after 42 games, usually justice is done. And Love. Rennie. Tied up again well by Neville. Robson. Leclerc. Atherton just repositioned. recognise which way McClare was going to try and slot the ball through to Cantona. We're 5 minutes away from half-time. The supporters sunbathing, and the players doing their best, given a certain lack of immediate incentive for Manchester United to put on some sort of show here on the very last day of this FA Carling Premiership season. And Brian Robson in the thoughts of most United fans. Burrows hoping to be able to let it run, but Dion Dublin had other ideas. Trying to slip it through to Sharp, and he's battling well. Manchester United just going up a notch or two as half-time approaches. But the snapshot from Dublin veers well wide. Irwin. That's McKee! And denied a debut goal by another fine Grizovic save.
The thing that helps Steve Grizovic, people often talk, Martin, about heading the ball down. But I think when you head it down, you've got to head it over the line before it bounces. Now, if you watch this, when he heads it down, it's about a yard from the line. Now, that gives the goalkeeper a chance, in my opinion. And there are cases when I think you put your head in it and you head it straight in the back of the net.
Goes Robson! Well, we watched the loop there with particular interest.
So did everyone in the ground, held their breath there for a moment. I don't know whether it was a handball. I mean, that's why I thought he got it well. Goodness me.
Well, they think he's a god. So you can see what the obvious next line is. Love. Flynn won't reach it. Neville did, covering from right back. Sharp losing out to Boland, just too high for Flynn, as he went in with an arm raised as well.
A little bit more carry. He actually smashes this across goal, Willie Boland. Does well to win it back. They've got players in, but look at the way he opts for power there, and it's very difficult to control it. They're looking for handball. Must have just brushed against the hand. Just thought, go feed it in. Just tease it in there. He opted for power.
Robson. Claire. This is Neville. Cantona. McKee. The Frenchman again. Irwin. No offside. Cantona holding his position in the centre, but there was not enough steam on the cross from Sharp. The best service from the left in the first half has undoubtedly come from Dennis Irwin. The first half illuminated by an extraordinary save from Steve Grizovic. From Eric Cantona with a flamboyant over-the-head effort which would have typified Manchester United's season had it gone in. It didn't. In the sunshine at Old Trafford at half-time, United 0, Coventry 0. Morgan. He certainly headed the ball, but he left an imprint on the back of Colin McKee.
only because his momentum in was there, Martin. I thought he won that very cleanly and very well.
And so did he. Rolled forward by Morgan. Now Unlove is off. And this can have spectacular consequences for the opposition. And a really probing run for Coventry. And Dion Dublin recognised the danger well.
Well, he's got plenty of energy, Dion, this season, and showing it there. The only thing Peter Unlove had done is leave the rest of his teammates behind in that run. They were having great difficulty keeping up with him.
And Walsh plucks it out of the air from Willie Boland. Irwin. Cantona's offside. McKee. Neville. Is looking up again. Clare. Cantona. Bab took too long. Dublin injecting some urgency. Cantona going in, and Atherton right alongside him. Just doing enough.
That was a much better cross from Colin McKee. Looked up. To be fair, Cantona made the kid's mind up. He made a very good run. It would have been a difficult header to score from there. You could see he was beyond the near post. But Atherton did quite well. The cross was very good.
Everything rosy around Manchester United in every aspect of the industry, except in this particular match where Coventry are doing their best to find a victory that they would really appreciate.
A day off today.
Unlove past Parker. Surely he was tripped. He was. It's a free kick to Coventry City. Coming up to the 15-minute mark in the second half. The champions to be crowned officially at the end of the proceedings on the pitch. Well, needed only perhaps a deflection from Unlove. Coming across the line of the shot.
You just get the impression the supporters are building up for the final whistle there, Mark, aren't they? I bet there's no supporter here with mind if the referee cut it 15 minutes short, was it?
McKee. Wow, that was nearly what they've been waiting for during the match. A Manchester United goal with Dion Dublin coming in.
It's such an uncertain area, this. We talk about it all the time in football, that space between back fours and goalkeepers. Look at Bab. He's got horrible decisions. In fact, so bad he pulls out of it. And I think that took Dublin by surprise. I think he expected Bab to put something on this. He draws out of it. And really, it's not a very convincing finish.
Free kick against United. Youth team this season. Atherton. Back for Rennie. It's Brian Burrows who has the sense of adventure from right back. It didn't quite come off for Coventry. It wasn't for a lack of ambition. Bab. Flynn. Bab with a cavalier charge up alongside his front players then. A draw today would take Manchester United's final tally to 92 points in absolute terms, that is a new record. Everton 90, Liverpool 90. Leclerc looking to add 2 more points with a winning goal, but there might have been a handball here, Andy.
There might well have been as it comes through. He's saying it's his chest. Certainly looked their chest. The Coventry player's arms went up, and the referee has given a free kick. He was always leaning back there. He was never over the top of that.
Parker. Cleared by Walsh. And if you go back, applying the 3 points for a win to the figures when it was 2 points, the Liverpool side of 79 comes out on top. They would have had 98 points under this system. Poland. And still, good stop by Walsh. Well, if they need him for the cup final, he's certainly up for the job.
Well, there's nothing wrong with his reflexes, because that's what that was. Such a short, close distance.
Robson. McKee. Robson again. More Manchester United players forward in this attack than there have been in many others. Sharp. Must be so different for the players who are invariably pumped up with the need to get a result, to try and manufacture the right, almost subconscious approach here. The game has spread at the moment, and suggesting there might be some late opportunities. Willie Boland certainly had one for Coventry, and Gary Walsh stopped him collecting what would be his first goal.
Well, they almost got in each other's way, Peter Inlove and Willie Boland here. I mean, they get through quite easily. And look at that, they don't know who wants it. Oh, I'll have it. And I think he thought he'd steered that wide of Walsh, but it was a fine reaction save from him. Watch this, low to his left, difficult to get down there, knee your feet. That was wonderful reactions from the goalkeeper.
Alex Ferguson gave him his debut for Manchester United way back in 1986. The following year he was recognised as the regular goalkeeper. At that time it also seemed certain that he would go on and represent England. He might do, of course, but injuries have taken their toll. It's been a long, hard road back for Walsh. He's the man in possession at the moment. The United goal and possession on the ball was unloved. McKee. Morgan having a good look at him. Backing off. Cantona. McKee in behind Morgan. Dublin. Oh, it would have been an own goal. Is it? Or was it a hand? It's not going to count.
That's what he's given. He's annoyed with the linesman because the linesman didn't signal. Dublin's saying it was a head. Good movement though. McKee plays a 1-2. Cantona naturally delivers the ball perfectly. Now let's look at Dublin closely. The ball sits up there. Yeah, I think that's a hand. Certainly nowhere near his head. Comes in again. They look like they're both missing it. Up goes. There it is. Atherton clears it. I tell you what though, from that distance, is it deliberate? I think it just hits Dublin. Atherton's clearing that. I don't know if Dublin knew an awful lot about that. I think it's natural though, if the referee sees that, he gives a...
Well, he saw it, the linesman didn't. That's what Peter Atherton was looking across at.
You know, if that is the other way around, Martin, had Dion Dublin been hitting it off of the defender from that range, we would be saying, well, it's no penalty, because he can't do anything about it, it's so close to him.
Well, maybe it's a more charitable day than usual. That
okay, we'll go along with that then.
That won't wash with Dion Dublin, I'm sure. He still wants to make a major impact here with Manchester United. Sharp. Still sharp. And Cantona and Dublin, the two United would have wanted in the far post area, were well placed. Coventry defended the cross well. And it's ended with Steve Morgan off the pitch, but in need of treatment. Well, Morgan then came back onto the pitch, which possibly why Cantona was complaining.
He goes over the back post with Phil Babb. Cantona's behind both of them. And Babb and Morgan, they go up. It's his own player. It's Phil Babb that catches him with his right arm as Morgan goes to clear it. Watch Babb's arm. Look how dangerous. I mean, if that catches Babb on the hand, does the referee give a penalty there? It's very close.
Possibly will be charitable to Cantona that he was calling for the referee to acknowledge the injury, but certainly Steve Morgan came back on so that the game couldn't be restarted. Well, they've come here for more than a match today. Part of the reason to say farewell to Brian Robson, and the day not without a touch of sorrow in the one missing friend, Sir Matt Busby, the founding father of the modern Manchester United. You couldn't ask for a better stadium to celebrate in, could you? The sides linked so well, the symmetry of the setting, and the mood has got all in harmony. Rennie. Well, Neville trying to knock it back to the goalkeeper.
There's something that potential champions of the future, Martin, should be looking at. The players in particular should be looking at this today and saying, do we want a bit of that? And the answer should be, yes, we do.
What the United fans are not going to get, it seems, is a bigger stadium. At the moment, far too complicated and far too costly. Atherton, United don't own all the ground surrounding the stadium, which it would be necessary to build. Boland, Derby, is it another one for him? It's not. Bar and then post and then out. Rennie. Coventry was celebrating, and then there was nothing to cheer them finally. Sean Flynn just limping back into an onside position.
It's a lovely piece of football, Martin, it really was. Involved Burrows there, he linked up with Boland, who skipped through. Now look at Derby, he just pulls off. Boland spots him.
Come back to Cantona, Dublin! Oh! Grizovic in prime condition here, the veteran goalkeeper with another super save to deny Dublin this time.
Oh, he's enjoying the day, Steve Grizovic. This is a great ball in. Dublin meets it perfectly with a very powerful header, and that's a great reaction save from a big man. Two super saves he's produced today.
It was the power that was going to beat him, and the reflexes still razor sharp. And all that only seconds after Julian Derby thought that he'd given Coventry the lead.
We'll get a look at that in a minute, I think. You're right, it was quite extraordinary that Derby's attempt didn't end up in the net. I was amazed.
Pallister. as yet there's not been a chance for Robson to get the milestone goal, and it hasn't really dominated his thinking, particularly in the second half. Hasn't played too many matches, of course, and at his age, 37 now, up and back is pretty daunting in the sunshine. We'll look at that Julian Derby incident in a minute, but everyone who's watched Manchester United this season knows that they've got such pace in their attack that you have to wait for the appropriate moment. Neville. Bannister. So Dion Dublin's had a goal disallowed, and a header that looked as though it might win the day for Manchester United, stopped superbly by Grizovic. Robson.
Particularly disappointing for me, Mark, as I've got him in the sweep.
Dublin.
Yes.
Contribution to Stephen Grizovic's testimonial fund was obviously lacking from you. Here's Jenkinson. Colin McKee tracking back. It might be the last act from him, because indeed it is. He's going to be taken off to give Roy Keane a little run.
He's done well. He can be pleased with his contribution. He'll have enjoyed it.
Roy Keane, the only one of the 14 players who is going to get a championship memento today who hasn't got one already. Maybe he will say he was responsible for the extra points that they've got this season compared to last. Could have gone to Blackburn, of course. Chose Manchester United instead, and I would feel that he's not regretting that decision at the moment. Free kick, though, to Coventry. Drops for Babb. Boland. Walsh coming and claiming. And Schmeichel, like he was looking to hurl it out quickly, but it wasn't on for United then. Keane. Robson. Under 15 minutes to go of this Premiership season. The biggest success story on the ball at the moment through Roy Keane. Jenkinson.
Well, it does give us a chance to look at Julian Derby. So close to bringing the lead. He plays it to that far, off the crossbar, off the post. You see it bounce right on the line. There's a load of blue shots around, but none of them can get near it.
Here's Brian Robson in a red shirt. Sharp. Keane. Cantona. I think Dublin got in his way, rather. Keane. Oh, and Robson, it was just too long for him. There's some signs now that Manchester United are just trying to finish it all in style.
They'd like to do that. They did that last year against Blackburn here, didn't they? You and I were here. It was a fine evening. Finished in style, 3-1 victors. I'm sure they would like to give these wonderful supporters they feel they have here just something to go out on.
As it was almost scripted, the Gary Pallister free kick to make it 3-1, almost the final kick of the season. Paul Parker would be the man this time, but I think Brian Robson will be ahead of the queue. If anything comes up near goal, Parker, the one who hasn't scored from the regulars. Atherton. Parker's only goal for the club came last season here against Tottenham. It's going to be a free kick to United. Well, they're applauding the present here and recognising the past, but it all looks good for the future for United. An organisation geared for success on the business and the footballing fronts. Confusion here, which might have left a little bit of egg on the face. And Coventry have the present of a corner.
Such is the occasion, Mark. No one's too bothered. Casual knockback. Gary Walsh loses his footing.
And they always say play a back pass away from the goal just in case. That's why. He might have kept that in, but the linesman, who's a long way away, didn't think so. There's no need to protest at this stage for Steve Morgan. Coventry City turning their thoughts towards summer break. Manchester United towards the FA Cup final. Dublin! Igrizovic has lost it. Roy Keane cashes in, but the flag is up, and it's no goal. Still 0-0.
Well, he's never going to get one. Dublin hits this very well. Who's pulled off the line of attack? McClare's very aware now. Is it Keane? Oh, it's very tight. I mean, if he's given McClare in the bottom right-hand corner, then that's ridiculous. I tell you, it was very tight for anyone else. I didn't think anyone was offside at the time, Martin.
Well, there was a little bit of luck for Igrizovic. Here's Unlove. Walsh read the play well. Sharp. Cantona, that was brave, and he got the break because of it. Eric going on. Oh, now that came back. And it's been called a back pass, really on appeal by Cantona. And Manchester United, not sure about the merits of it, Andy will see here. They've got the free kick.
Well, he's making a tackle as far as I'm concerned, Brian Burrows. He's not deliberately attempting to play it back. That's where there's so much confusion about this rule. But it does give United a chance. I'm looking at Robbo, he's on the edge of the 18-yard box, just on the left of the screen there. It wouldn't surprise me if they roll it back, Martin.
Well, if it goes according to the script here, it will be rolled back to Robson, who'll crash it into the back of the net. We shall see. Igrizovic in front of the defenders. But it's Cantona. No sentiment from him. And no goal from him either, but it was very, very close.
Glorious cheek, though. He knows he can't go through it, so he thinks, if I might just get it over the wall. Oh, he came very close to achieving it.
It's a much more stirring second half. That was the head of Keane. Only sending the ball only up in the air, then the subsequent bounce beating Pallister. Good, diligent work from Irwin. Flag up. Must have been another close one against Cantona.
Must be looking into the sun, this linesman in the near side, Mark. One or two very close decisions.
Well, you look into the monitor here and have a look again at Eric Cantona's cheek.
Now look, there's pretty small players in that wall, quite a few of them. Look how close he comes to getting it over the top. Oh, very close.
Peter Atherton was coming right round the back in the net. Required. Keane. Seven minutes or so to go. McClare. Pallister. Flynn. Dublin's everywhere at the moment. This is Jenkinson. Cantona. Phil back, watching and wondering, jockeying. What's in Cantona's mind here? Looks to me as though they push Brian Robson up now, and Dion Dublin is going to be the midfield general.
Well, they're desperate to get him a goal, that's a certainty.
Phil Neal's Coventry have not just come here to make up the numbers, though. And my word, they came close to getting a potentially decisive goal from Julian Darby. The ball bouncing down off the bar onto the post and staying out. McClare. Robson. Dublin forward this time. Bounces off McClare. Cantona. Parker glancing it down. Gary Neville, a nice game for him in which to start his league career. Not too many potential pitfalls in these circumstances. Will he get the win bonus? Not unless Manchester United manufacture something towards the end. Pallister, maybe they will here, with McClare! It was flying, it seemed, towards the top corner. It was good movement with the feet from Agrizovic before he needed the hands.
This is the difference when you get a clean sight of it. I think he sees that very early. And because of that, he can take 2 or 3 steps, and it becomes a very comfortable save from a very well-struck shot. It has to be said, he hit that very well, Brian McClare.
McClare looking for one for the family album there. Derby and Love. Neville. 4 minutes left. No great need for Stephen Lodge to go on too much extra time. There was the stoppage when Morgan was hurt in the second half. Sharp. Dublin. Key. Dublin picking the pass well. Irwin. They're flooding into the centre. Keane. And the only Huddersfield in the 20s, Arsenal in the 30s and Liverpool in the 80s have ever won it 3 times in a row. What do you think?
I think they're certainly capable of doing it, Martin. I think it'll be difficult. I mean, they found it not hard this year, but the challenge from Blackburn was there right until the penultimate weekend of the season. But I think when you look around at what's going to happen in the summer, I do believe that Blackburn will be better prepared.
Pallister. Well, it's sure that Brian Robson won't be around for next year's challenge in whatever competition.
I mean, I'm saying to you that other people will strengthen in the summer. We'll wait to see what Alex Ferguson will do in the summer. I'm sure that if anyone learned anything off of Liverpool for 20 odd years, it was always strengthen, always buy. Even though you think you've got a great 11, always buy.
Sharp. Flynn. Michael Phelan also leaving Manchester United at the end of the season. We should give him a mention as well. Played a particularly strong part 2 or 3 years ago. FA Cup winner, League Cup winner, European Cup Winners' Cup winner. Wish him well in new circumstances. I'm sure he'll be not short of offers. Morgan, Rundloff, Derby. Now Keane. And it's Brian Robson. McClare inside him. And Robson's there again. And it was neither a goal-scoring shot or a cross that connected with Cantona, tantalising in between the two.
It's the best chance he's had. It may be the best chance he's going to get. Because you watch the way he's ever so alert. And so is McClare now. He's got time. Does he opt for power? He tries to bend it in the top corner. But that really was about the best chance that Robbo's had all day. Time to look up, time to size it up. Opted for precision.
Dublin trying to nudge it to McClare. I think missed it altogether. Final minute. No goals, but plenty of efforts at goal in the second half. Both goalkeepers have been at their best. McClare. Here's Robson. Stephen Lodge looks at his watch.
Well, it's not going to be a goal for Robbo, you feel, but I think a championship winning medal is sufficient compensation, Martin.
Keane. The championship season is in its last few seconds. Coventry City have held a much-changed Manchester United to a draw. The last Premiership points to be allocated this season, one apiece. Goodbye from all the Manchester United fans to Brian Robson here at Old Trafford. Maybe an involvement in the FA Cup final next Saturday, which now occupies all the thoughts of the Manchester United management. But really the main event to come, the match part of the undercard, because the Premiership prize is waiting. Winning it once, a great achievement. Holding on to the league title takes a very special effort indeed. And Manchester United found that extra dimension rarely given to defending champions. Effortless it seemed over the first half of the season, though of course it wasn't. After that, Blackburn Rovers, with their own remarkable run, made sure that United had to be on their mettle to keep Kenny Dalglish from destroying their dreams, as he so often did when he played for Liverpool. Blackburn were breathing down United necks, but they couldn't knock the champions off the top of the league, not even for a day or two.
If there's anything about you at all as a professional footballer, this is what you want to sample. Sometimes difficult for the players down there, because this is a combination of 42 games to know how to feel. But when you sit down in the summer in the cold light of day and look at your achievements, every one of that man's players will be proud of what they've achieved. If you can win one thing, then this is the thing to win. This is what means most to a professional footballer.
Well, it started on August the 15th with a 2-0 win at Norwich. A campaign characterised by fast-flowing football. Steve Bruce heads the United line on his own this time, although Brian Robson is close behind. They found a captain capable of succeeding Robson, a courageous and capable player in his own right, a great guy as well, and a great team behind him. 2 titles in a row, and even sweeter, I'm sure, the second time around. Ian Prosser, the chairman of BAS, makes the presentation. Manchester United. Ferguson appreciates that. Between the current captain and Captain Fantastic.
That was a wonderful touch from Steve Bruce, because that was all his doing, Martin. That was Steve was given permission to go up on his own and collect it, but he says no. And I think that's a measure of the respect that these current United players have for one who will be with them no longer after today.
Down the line it goes. What a cheer for Eric Cantona. He's used to all this, of course. Ryan Giggs not involved today. He'll surely will be at Wembley. Paul Ince as well. Paul Parker, so reliable throughout at the back. And they love Andrei Kanchelskis here. And they'd love him to stay here. I'm sure that contractual problem will be sorted out. For 5 successive seasons, Alex Ferguson has found the winning formula, starting with the trophy that all at Old Trafford hope is next in line, the FA Cup. But championships are the true test of a team. George Graham told me last week his real ambition is to win a 3rd league title with Arsenal. Alex Ferguson will be striving to achieve that in consecutive years, something only achieved 3 times before. By Huddersfield in the 20s, Arsenal in the 30s, and of course Liverpool in the 80s. Roy Keane, who wasn't involved last season, is in when the medals are handed out this time. Marvellous moments for Manchester United. The match here not really too important to the day. This is what it's been all about. The FA Carling champions, Manchester United.
It was special for him, no matter the result, and it was the acknowledgement from the fans and the players and myself. It was something I always remember and cherish, that he's been part of a truly great club, and he said that himself. It's been a wonderful career for him at Old Trafford, 13 years, and finally he's got his 2 championship medals, which is fabulous for him.
Was he emotional about it?
Yeah, I think he was a little bit, yeah, I think he was. I think that he's one of the few players that can put things aside and get on with the game. But deep down and at the end of the match, and when he got the separate acknowledgement from the fans and the players, I think I saw that little breaking up of him, he sort of gave in.
What about yourself? You're sitting back. Do you feel a satisfaction or still an excitement? What's going through your mind when the fans are partying like that?
Well, it's there is great satisfaction and pride in it. I feel that in these occasions we become a stronger club.
You know, those celebrations yesterday, and it brings the players and the fans closer together. I think that's a great benefit of it all. That there's a sort of a cementing of relationships in the club, and it makes us stronger. It brings it all close together, and makes the players realise what support they've got, and the support realise what a great team they've got.